Hello, my friends, and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming, and in this video, man, you saw it in the intro, Chisgule purposefully gets himself imprisoned, rallied, and swarmed. And the reports are nuts. So don't worry, if you want to see those, I'll have them for you in the back half of this video. And by the way, if you like Rise of Kingdoms guides designed to help you get value, smash your enemies, or even just kind of slash popcorn and entertain yourself, consider subscribing to the channel and throwing a like onto the video. Man, this KVK was really crazy. And for context here, this is the Orleans version of KVK. This KVK format allows you to put 3 auxiliary skills onto the primary commander you bring out of your city. That means every rally, every swarming march can have skills from other commanders. And I mention this because in this video, you're going to watch Chisgule get rallied. He started at about 116 million power. You're going to watch him get swarmed. And swarming in this KVK is insane. It's easier than any other format to swarm a city or to swarm a flag or to swarm a fort and trade really positive. Which, by the way, I hope the developers will get a look at some point in the future. I think from a balance standpoint, that could use some love. But the format overall with the auxiliary skills is actually at times a little tedious managing your sort of currency you need to do it, but overall very fun. So now the double rally lands on Chisgule City, and he's getting swarmed. And people were sort of speculating like, uh-oh, I bet Chisgule's really freaking out now. No, sir, I was in voice with him. He wanted this to happen. And I'm pretty sure that the kingdoms that are on the offense here also want this to happen because they need to drop power to get their migration into their kingdom. So in a lot of ways, this is a win-win for everybody, regardless of what the reports are going to look like. And you may have a hard time believing that anyone would want to be in this situation, but Chisgule has done this many times. And the more times that he does this, the better he gets at handling it. And the more calm he can be in a situation where it really, really matters. And I was in voice with him. And he was super chill. I was like, you know what you're doing? He's like, yeah, man, I know what I'm doing. Now, the first heal he was not able to pull off, and this is something I've mentioned in several of my videos, that often either the pop-up for the Fate Changer or getting caravans will interfere with your ability to execute your first hospital heal, which is definitely a bummer. So you can expect to get at least one full round of dead troops at the front end of things after the first time you burn, but before you're able to heal your hospital again, that swarm will be initiated again. And once you're in combat, you can't actually heal your hospital. Now, I've mentioned this a number of times, and people have sent me a lot of messages saying this really saved their city, that the way you have to do this is to have the hospital screen already open. You have to be ready to push the button where the start heal option would be. And then the second you leave combat, it'll be there. You initiate the heal. Whether you do that with gems or you do that without gems, your call. Chisgule was doing it with gems to keep things accelerated. And he didn't realize how low he was on gems. So toward the end of this, he's going to go to push the gem button, realize he doesn't have enough gems, and then he random ports out. Because even after the Imprison ends, he was like, oh, I'm going to keep doing this, bro. I'm just going to stay. We're just going to let this happen. So he was very intentionally trying to run it down as much as he could. And rather than eat another sort of full round of not being able to heal his hospital toward the end of things, he's like, all right, I'll random out of here. And that's ultimately kind of what he does. So he is still getting swarmed. There is, if it hasn't already happened, another rally that's going to show up on his city. He's down to 90 million power with 14 seconds left on the Imprison. And if this isn't the part where he ports out, then it's probably coming very, very soon. I think maybe he'll get all the way down to burn. This is where he's going to be out of gems, and then he's going to random. So when you're in this situation, how do you survive? Couple things you need to do, and this is just a recap of things I've covered before. First of all, if you have siege units in your city, you might try to set an 8-hour rally on something to get them out of your city. Siege just perform poorly, especially at low tiers, and especially if you have more than the 50,000 that there's room for those tier 1 siege. From there, you make sure that you've got your commander tab set up, your talent set up, your commander set up on your garrison. You get your city theme right, and also something that is very important is that if you're going to get crazy swarmed like this, you have to have billions of each resource open. if your game plan is to initiate heals between each round of swarming. Otherwise, if you're gemming, you're paying for the resources with gems, which is brutal, and that's really just not something you want to do. And the worst case situation is that you're out of resources, and then you can't start the heal. In this case, Chisgule was out of gems, he pieced out, and now we get to look at the reports, which, by the way, Chisgule has a data summary for us. We can check that out too. Here's the first report. Looks like this is going to be the Henry Zhuge rally. 383,000 sev wounds for Chisgule, 300,000 dead troops for them. 8,000 dead troops in Chisgule City. That's got to be reinforcements. And then there are some swarmers. So overall, 8,200 dead for Chisgule so far, 517,000 dead for them, with a sev wound count of 383,000. That's just some hospital healing. In many ways, I know I've said this before, but it's kind of like a rounding error compared to the amount of field fighting you do in a KVK with 7 marches. So the hospital healing is something I generally don't look at too closely. From here, let's get a look at where things get really spicy, because they pick it up from doing just the rally to actually doing a lot of swarming as well. Here is, okay, another Henry Zhuge Liang. I guess I didn't record the first Henry Zhuge Liang, and there's a second one. Maybe 12,000 dead for Chisgule, or really reinforcers, and 247,000 dead for the rally. Okay, interesting. And then there's more. Let's see here. Next up, we've got 194,000 dead for Chisgule and 604,000 dead for them. In this report, pretty brutal. There's another Henry Zhuge Liang, who's just very powerful. Such an amazingly powerful commander. A lot of kill points for their team, and that's because, of course, they're doing just massive sev wound damage here. And it's the swarmers, it looks like, that really take brutal damage here. That's where it gets really punishing. And yeah, I mean, obviously, swarming Heraclius Garrison is really going to hurt. Holy cow. Okay, so that report, Chisgule's got about 4 million troops left in his city. Let's see if the next one is over here. Check this out. This one, Chisgule goes all the way to Sad Face. And I guess we can just look at the battle data summary. 1.6 million dead for Chisgule. That is brutal. And 2.6 million dead for them. So still a positive trade, but you can see his hospital overflows here. And as I mentioned, after one of the first volleys, your hospital will almost certainly overflow without the ability to heal, because in part of either caravans or also Fate Changer. So that is pretty rough, not gonna lie. This report is where the bulk of the troops were lost, honestly. And that's because the hospital was full with no ability to heal it. I would hope that at some point that changes, where those screens that are sort of popping up that you aren't even really all that interested in are interfering with your ability to do what you need to do to save your city. Looks like Makote's in on this as well, by the way. I love that you can click the battle report and it shows you all the way down to their march. If we get a look at the battle summary, however, this report has 585,000 dead for Chisgule and 1.8 million dead for them. So at this point, he's able to actually have his hospital cleared out, still gets a ton of sev wounds, but at least not all of his troops go into the bin like that 1.6 million dead troop situation. That is a bit of a yikes. And then the next report over here, I think it's this one. Did we already look at this one? No, 362,000 to 573,000. And it looks like in this one, Chisgule doesn't burn. So I don't know when this happened. The report might be split a little bit if he's changing his captains around. So at one point at the start of the video, you may have noticed he was using Hera with Skippy to do lots of damage. And then toward the end of things, he switches it up and does Hera with YSS. But I think actually that might have just been the last report, and then he random ports out. That's what happened here. So his hospital was going to completely overflow again. Rather than stick around for that, he ported out, which I think was a good call. Now, at over 100 million power, this is not really something you can do with, I think the word is impunity. Like, you can just go in and do whatever you want. Like, you do lose troops. And Chisgule lost a bunch of troops. So if I look at the data that he sent me, the overall total, which I'll put on the screen in just a second, and Chisgule summarized it for us, is 3.3 million dead for Chisgule and 10.6 million dead for the opposing team. There was 4.8 million Sev wounds. That was 190 million kill points for Chisgule and 143 million kill points for the opposing team. Wow. So I'm sure this was fun for everybody. Fun for Chisgule because he enjoys this. And he actually did this in his last KVK as well in our 2293 Kingdom and KVK. And I'll put on the screen Chisgule's gear. He used Hera with YSS for the overwhelming majority of this, and I think that's a really good choice. I can't think of a better choice when you're getting swarmed like crazy, especially given that he has the gear to pull it off with the iconics and the crits. So thank you again, Chisgule, for the entertainment, and thank you again to 365 and 846 for, I don't know, going for the Imprison on Chisgule. I think at some point people are going to realize this probably isn't worth doing unless we know we kind of want the situation. And I think, honestly, it's just so tempting. Even if you know that Chisgule wants to get imprisoned and he wants to get swarmed, in a KV like this, I think you're probably just going to go for it. And you hope that they mess up and that you zero them. I think that's how it goes. If you enjoyed the video, do me a favor, throw a like on here and consider subscribing. If you wanted to see the 2 Kingsland streams that led up to this moment, cards will be in the end screen for those in just a bit.